we are in the now. So I save all my candle jars and wax nubs. I carved myself a little wax stirrer and I washed out those jars, added a little bit of bug oil, and created kind of a makeshift double boiler system here so I could melt down the candlestick nubs. I put that green wax aside because it's kind of smelly, and I'm hoping I won't have to use it. So after I melted down all those little nubs, I was able to pour them carefully into my jar. It will be hot, and if you pour it slowly, all that gunk stays at the bottom of the jar. I didn't have enough wax, so I ended up having to melt those smelly candles and top up the jars. You also want to save a little bit of the wax off to the side because these will shrink down. Most of them didn't shrink too badly, but there was a couple that pitted pretty bad. I just topped them up, and this is them all topped up, ready to go.
Past the fourth turn by the barn where Mrs. Fallman lived till she passed on, there is a cottage by the lakeside where fairies.
This summer we were all rabbits, so every day we wore a set of rabbit ears, and all of the staff and apprentices and teens made their own ears, and we used paper mache and cardboard and yarn and wool and scraps of fabric and all sorts of fun stuff to make these ears, and we wore them every single day for 6 weeks, and it was lovely. I've done something a little different this time. I've created an absolute monstrosity of single crochet, double crochet, Tunisian crochet, some knitting with a crochet hook, a lot of terrible, lovely things all together into this lovely little hat for my deer. It looks like this. And it covers the headband beautifully. And it just looks like a terrible scrap of cloth. Today I'm walking through the forest holding a hot kettle because I'm going to make some DIY camouflage. I soaked my clothes for a while, long enough. Admire the cute mouse. And I'm using a little bit of RIT dye. That's what the hot water is mixed with, and once you mix it with the hot water, it's fine enough to do with the cold water. Put your stuff in, let it sit for long enough, rinse it out, and then get stopped because it's raining. It continued to rain all the rest of that day and into the rest of this week. But there was one sunny day which allowed this clothing to dry. And then during the torrential thunderstorm of that night, I was able to get started on this ghillie/viper hood. I used this old dress, cut the bottom off of it, and with the bottom of it, I made the hood for the suit. You guys might have made t-shirt blankets like this before. You cut slits and then tied double knots, and that's how I made the hood. And to attach that hood to the base, I opened up the collar and cut slits in the hood and in the collar and tied them together like that. This adds additional fringe and obscures your human head shape. And then to add the ghillie strips, which were old costume materials, rope, burlap, yarn, I cut 2 slits either side or just thread them through holes and knotted and did lark's heads and half hitches until it grew and created this pseudo ghillie suit. I've got a pile of scrap wood, an empty kitchen cupboard, so you know what that means. New kitchen cupboard with a tiny little door. Campers have an amazing proclivity for growing mold. I noticed this on the ceiling the other day. It's right underneath one of my kitchen cupboards, so I thought the best thing to do would be to paint. And while I investigated that top cupboard area, I noticed that towards the center, not right there, but there, towards the middle, a jar had been slowly leaking, and that had introduced enough moisture to grow some mold through the base of that cabinet. So I vacuumed out all of the popcorn kernels and wood chips and all that good stuff, and then I was able to mold treat that center and set up a rechargeable fan to let it dry. So I treated the cause of the mold, and then I prepped everything to paint. Covered up my table, because that thing is very precious to me, taped around my fixtures, removed that fan, all that good stuff, painted with a nice exterior paint, because I found interior paint gets gummy inside the camper, which is fun. Then I get to do all the fun tape removal, and there we go, it's all fixed. Source removed, painted over the results. Huzzah. Same magic trick once again. Scrap wood, hole in the wall, new door. The camper is disassembled so that I might pay attention to this one corner that does not get much love, which I would like to change. So I started by vacuuming, clearing out all of the things, vacuuming, wiping down the shelves. Realized they needed a bigger clean than that, So I detached the shelves. Once I detached the shelves, I realized this board had grown some serious mold, so I removed it. All that stuff got put outside. The shelves are going to get a good scrub down with some RV mold cleaner, which is good stuff, but vinegar also works. I saved all the shelf fixings, and you guys will see what I build in part 2. Welcome back. I've made a plan, and then I revised the plan, and then I built this ugly baby of a shoe rack. Then I stained it, and it was a little bit better. Went ahead and stained the 2 shelves I pulled out as well, and they're all looking quite sharp, if I do say so myself. So in total, with all of this ridiculous scrap wood and bits and bobs, I built a new shelf and cabinet, rescreened my front door, built a shoe rack, and stained these shelves, built a file organizer / produce display, I suppose, and now everything is back to normal. The cats are home, and I'm ready to start a fabulous fall semester.